How did you come across the name Mela Press? I'll
Very
tell
good
you why I'm
question.
asking you. I'm also I'm going to tell you why I'm asking you this question also. But first, please go ahead.
Okay, so um, originally we started as WP White Security. The name was
Okay.
coming from because we deal with security. White because I don't feel like in the hacking where there's the black hat hacking,
White.
which is and the white hat hacking, so WP White Security.
Right.
It was just, but as we you said before, like many people confuse us like, oh, so you compete with threat defense with security. Like, no, we don't do because they say the word security, they just think of firewall.
Feels like the chase. We could live like legends.
Securing WordPress isn't just about locking the doors. It's about understanding how users behave, where vulnerabilities live, and how to adapt before attackers do. Today's guest has made its mission. Welcome back to WP Legends. I'm Gautam, co-founder of Seahawk Media, and today I'm excited to sit down with Robert Abela, founder and CEO of MailaPress, one of the leaders in WordPress security, audit logging, and advanced user management. If you ever search for better ways to monitor WordPress activity logs, enforce strong passwords, or manage users across a large multi-site or membership site, or any other website of any sorts, chances are you've come across MailaPress. Robert and his team have built essential tools like WP Activity Log, Password Policy Manager, WP2FA, and more, protecting over 500,000 WordPress sites globally. And on a personal note, I've had the pleasure of being on Robert's show as well, where he regularly brings together founders, developers, and security experts from all over the world. Robert, welcome to WP Legends. Let's dive right in. Can you start by telling me what inspired you to launch MailerPress?
First of all, Gotham, thank you very much. Thank you for the very positive introduction, great introduction. Yeah, I started with WordPress around 13 years ago. So basically, I was working for a software company called
Mm-hmm.
Equinetics. And yeah, blog was the new thing in marketing, and we wanted a blog. And we started using, we looked for a solution for a blog. WordPress was the back then
Mm-hmm.
there was WordPress, the usual ones, Joomla, Drupal. I think there was
Of
like
course.
Type 2 and some other ones.
Of course.
Um, and yeah, we chose WordPress. And since we were a web application security company, because we were already developing a web vulnerability scanner, not for WordPress, just generic security web application scanning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got really interested in WordPress because back then it was still the early days. There were no security solutions. In fact, I remember I had a chat I had called Tony Perez from Sucuri because they just had started literally like just a few months before. We just because it was nothing.
True.
Like, it was this insecure. It wasn't as such insecure. There was much less awareness. So anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
we started using WordPress. By coincidence, a friend of mine had a website already, Jean Gallia, WP Mayor, and we started talking like because he was already involved in the WordPress community. So
True.
we started talking about it. He said like you should join like come. There was the first WordCamp Europe in Leiden, so I joined there. I was still working at Econetics basically, and yeah, slowly, uh, I've been wanting to go solo kind of thing because I've worked for like 14 years with big companies, and I was like I've been wanting to do something on my own,
In
and
security
yeah,
space, right? In security
I mean,
space.
I've always worked for security companies, like security software
Yeah.
companies. So it's like kind of like the
Yeah.
thing the industry that I know I'm most familiar
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I like it. So yeah, basically I started the most basic stuff, kind of like hacking clean websites, writing my own blog, what I'm learning, and I found it
Of
quite
course.
fascinating that like a multi-user solution doesn't have any sort of logging solution because when you look not just at security, even like auditing, everything, if you look at network switches, everything has some sort of
Yeah.
logs to know what's
Of
happening.
course. Of
So
course.
yeah, that came. I mean, there is some sort of logging. There is the actual PHP logging, of course, in the web server, but it is a bit different, you know.
Of
It
course.
doesn't give exactly a log of what's happening in WordPress. So yeah, when I was cleaning hacked websites, like it's very difficult to find out maybe what's happened, maybe if a user got hijacked or so. Yeah, so slowly building WP Activity Log, the first version, and yeah, it took off. And yeah, I never thought I would have. I always say like my business is by coincidence, as in like I always liked the idea of having a software business because it was I've worked for 14 years in the software industry,
Of course.
but
Wow.
I never aimed for it. I just started as a freelancer, but slowly the plugin was growing.
It gave you
have different
motivation.
types.
It gave you
Exactly.
motivation.
Yes.
It is so true. Our customers, the feedback we receive, and obviously the money we make because of the products which we sell, it gives us so much
Exactly.
motivation, right?
Exactly. And we launched the first premium edition.
Mhm.
And yeah, when I joined full time, we started MelaPress under a different name, WPI Security, but it was like around 5 years ago. I started full time, 5, 6 years ago. And it's
Gotcha.
funny because I wasn't the first full time employee of my own company. I had a developer back then. So it was like, but then I joined, and yeah, 5 years later, 6 years later, we have a number of plugins. But yeah, that's roughly what got me started into WordPress, basically.
And how many people are in your company now, if I may ask, and are they remote?
Right now we are six. We are
Okay.
looking, if I might do some promotion, we are looking for I think, to be honest, it's not like promotion because every company I know, we are looking for a senior developer and for a junior developer. And every company I know, they're
Of
looking for
course.
developers. So everyone is looking for developers.
The
Whereby it's
right
painful
fit for
now.
the right fit for the right seat. That's what I like to say. But that's pretty
Exactly.
impressive that you have a very lean team and you're able to scale this successfully. So do you get support tickets? Do you manage them yourself? One person from your team? How do you handle all of that? And what kind of support tickets, if I can get some idea for our viewers, you know?
Sure. We started in terms of support in the early days. We never got so much support because the Activity Lock plugin is a type of plugin that you install kind of and forget unless you need the logs kind of thing. It's a bit of
That's
an
true.
insurance.
Yes.
But of course, the more it grew, the more websites were using it, the more support we were getting. But it was still kind of like a reasonable amount. Um, we had a CAPTCHA plugin which we sold earlier this year. The CAPTCHA plugin was a bit more like B2C. So yeah,
Okay.
you get a lot that got a lot of support. It's
That's
different.
pretty.
But to FA, Activity Log, and MelaPress login security, they're a bit different. We get still support, but less. In fact, we have a person full time helping me with support and testing. I say helping me because he does most of the support, but I still like every morning to triage the support queue, mainly because I feel like as a since I'm responsible also for the roadmap of the products with the developers because it's a
Of
team,
course.
but it's good to know kind of what's out there. Like I know a lot of founders maybe try for it. It also depends on the number of emails you get, but we don't get that much. So it's good to at least take a look, triage, like, this looks interesting. This that. So you can get feedback of how your customers, your users are using your plugin, are using your software, or what problems they're encountering. So I
I would
find that
say
very useful. Yeah.
I think WP activity log, that is, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that being used by mostly agency owners or do you have direct businesses as well? Because it might be a tough sell for direct businesses. I know agencies understand the value like us as well, for example. So what about direct businesses with respect to WP
Ye-
activity log?
Yes, we have agent. It's more of a like enterprise software. We
Okay.
have some small websites, of course, but mostly, yeah, it's agencies or big businesses. Like these big, very big businesses where they have like multiple websites and they use it. They have their own administration team, NOC center, network operations
They
center, and
need
they
the
have their own.
bulletproof, yeah,
Yeah, they use,
the
yeah,
words.
like in fact, a lot of the big businesses I mentioned because they're mentioned on our website, like NASA, Disney, and stuff. They use them, or they have like I don't know the exact number, but a few hundreds of websites, and they use the plugin because with WP Activity Lock you can actually export logs to a SIEM like Amazon CloudWatch, Logly, these type of centralized logging systems, and they use our plugin on each website to capture the logs
to
and
to
then they
maintain to
send.
maintain the data because they need to be sure that they have data
Exactly,
in case like you mentioned the word insurance in case something god forbid happens
exactly,
that
yeah.
they know okay this is where it happened, let's plug the issue over there, for example.
Yes,
i
logs are a
guess
bit like an insurance, like many people. I see it with traveling
i
insurance. Some
guess
people like, should I get the traveling insurance? It's a safe country. Then they go there, something happens like, oh, I should have got the insurance.
So this leads me to a curious question. What are the most common, security oversights which you have come across, considering the overall grand scheme of things? Is it like bad password or something else? Like most common,
The-
as per you.
There's a lot of different stories about security, but the most common, it always remains the same. Like outdated software, like be it the plugin,
Mm,
being the team, being WordPress itself
mm.
core, or even the web server or whatever, outdated. And weak credentials, lack of 2FA. Like those are by far like some sort of account hijack because of weak credentials or lack of 2FA or something. And outdated software are by far the most common. I mean, there are of course targeted attacks, more sophisticated attacks, but by far those two, yeah, are the most common. Like it's so
And
it's
what
it's
and Yeah,
It's
and one
the
thing,
user kind of thing, you know, the user or the human factor. Let's put it this way, the
of
human factor in the
course,
system. Yeah,
that's a good one. I get it
yeah.
for sure. And because remind me, when did you start Mailer Press? Like when it really
Uh,
started getting recognized? Let me go back. How many
okay,
years
like yeah,
ago?
it's 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago.
So roughly around COVID time, 2020, roughly. So
So yeah, yeah, yeah.
you are competing with players like I would say WordFriends, iThemes, and some other competitors like
Yes
that.
and
So
no, as in like, because security, if you look like the most common thing these people like know about security is like, okay, get a firewall.
I'm just trying to
Uh,
understand your positioning versus the
no, exactly, which is
competition.
good.
Yeah,
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 most people like firewall. That's the first thing you go
yes.
for. And
Hmm.
WordFence, iTeams, Secure, they all do that. We don't do any
Okay,
firewalls. What we do is like, in fact, our products, I would say they complement such products because the firewall you need. I'm not saying you don't need, but
yeah,
you also security is not just like one solution for so you have a lot of different things. So
got it.
you can have a firewall, but on top of that, you need some sort of like solution to like keep a log of what's happening on your website, just in case something happens. Even, it's not just security, by the way. Logs. Logs are also very important. If you are managing a team, you have a lot of websites like e-commerce solutions, and you have 20, 30, or even 10 or 5 people updating the stock, removing a product, processing an order. You need to have some sort of accountability there, you know, even
Of course,
compliance.
of course.
So you have that one, logs, and then you need as well like some sort of authentication hardening to FA or some other stuff, or ensuring like strong passwords. So yeah, the firewall is just one piece of the puzzle. Security is like a multi-layered
Then is also the
solution.
hosting level. Then is also the hosting level,
Of course. So yeah, so
right?
we don't compete as such with WordFence. In fact, it's a bit of a privilege for us because I know WordFence is a like big company, and
Even patch
I know
tag,
that
even patch tag, they are like
yeah, Patchtag is a
this
firewall. Yeah, kind of.
is a
It's a
firewall.
different. It's a
Yeah,
modern like virtual patching. It's a different approach, which is very, in my opinion, is definitely one of the best out there. Shout out to Oliver, our friend. Most probably you know him as well.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just a puzzle of things. It's not just one thing when it comes to security. You need different solutions for different. There's no one fit all solution, basically.
I know we come across this all the time. You know, like Seahawk Media, we make websites. Somebody asks me what I do. I say we make websites, but we do a lot of websites. We sometimes deploy 100 or maybe 200 websites every single month, from one page websites to even 60,000 page websites. And security is a big concern, and it's shocking to know that people think about spending $50 or $100 or $200 a year for something which is most important. If you were opening a retail store, if somebody was to start a cafe and they were to open a retail store somewhere, they will have to pay insurance, right? 1,000, 2,000, $5,000 a year. Why don't people understand that spending a couple of $100 for the entire year, or maybe a couple of $100 into 2 or 3 plugins, or and not compromising on, let's say, managed WordPress hosting, can make sure that your website is always humming, loads quickly, and you will never face issues. I think
Yeah.
that's what I would say, like, all of us should be educating the world on, an agency
Yeah,
especially.
I don't think it's just security, as in like many, let's keep in mind, like you have an e-commerce solution. Like
Hmm.
as you're saying, people I think they don't make this comparison. Like when you have a shop, you're selling clothes, whatever you're selling, you have a shop. So
Hmm.
you're going, as you said, to install an alarm, you're going to have an insurance, you're going to keep it clean, you're going to make it like nice so people can walk in. If you have an e-commerce store, that the website is your shop. So if there's no
Gotcha.
website, if there's a problem with the website, then people are not coming in to buy. So
Got it.
you need to invest, like you need to invest because that's your portal to the world. Like when people come to your website, the way it looks, how fast, let's forget security for us, even like just the way it looks, how fast it is, the UX, how well designed it is, that's their experience, that's their impression of you. They're getting the impression, oh, this is like a serious company. Like it looks, they take care of their appearance, their website, you know? If you go
Of
to a
course.
website that's most probably hacked, but better probably make up, they're not going to buy from you. So it's the website is really important. And I think so there's that one. I think people maybe don't businesses don't appreciate how important the website is to their own business. And
Hmm.
secondly, I think it's also this open source free issue. As in, like the open source is free, but it you need like for technology, if you want something like to scale up whatever, like most probably you need to pay. Like there are free solutions which kind of help you get started.
True.
And quite frankly, open source is very important because that's where most innovations come from,
Of
because people
course.
are paying around, helping each other, building software
Yeah,
together. That's
yeah,
how
yeah.
WordPress grew, quite frankly, you know.
100%,
But at
100%.
the end of the day, if you need support, if you need like a more professional solution, you need to pay. So it's definitely uh, the idea of free. Nothing is free in life, quite. There's always some sort of compromise, you know.
Of course, of
And
course.
yeah, you can build something basic without paying anything, but you still need hosting to pay for hosting. But you have to start, people have to, it's different by the way, because when we started like 10 years ago, like the idea of premium WordPress plugins was still very remote, alien. Nowadays, of course, people are used to like, yeah, there's a free edition, which you kind of like can do A, B, and C.
Some,
But
whatever.
exactly. But if you pay, then you're going to do from A to Z, and you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
have support, and
The
you're going to
freemium,
have
yeah, the freemium model is one of the most popular in the whole world for sure. Yeah, that works well,
exactly.
and that way people, especially if you're confident in your services, people get to experience your product, and if they're happy, they will not hesitate to pay. That's how it works, of course.
Exactly, you know. So yeah, you need for professional services. If especially if your business, your income depends on the website, you need to invest. And quite
Yes.
frankly, a shop, maybe people don't realize because nowadays e-commerce is becoming more common. So I say, oh, I don't know, if you had to buy all the plugins, maybe pay a developer part-time to help you with the website. I don't know. Let's say you spend 3,000-4,000 a month. If you had to
Mm,
factor everything in the hosting, they say that's expensive. Try running a physical shop, brick and mortar. A shop is way more expensive. Just paying
exactly.
the rent, paying the bills, you know, like, that's just way more expensive.
I
So
know.
people
I know.
don't realize that's maybe they don't make that connection. That is their
That's
shop,
true.
quite. Is their portal to the world.
On this front, one thing which comes to my mind, I know you are very consistent with going to WordCamps. When did you? Because that obviously involves going, setting up a booth. And correct me if I'm wrong. Like you were at WordCamp Basel. That's what I'm sure. We met at WordCamp Basel also. And were you
Yes.
at other WordCamps? Have you exhibited at other WordCamps? What do you think about WordCamps?
Uh, there are a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of benefits in WordCamps. I started attending WordCamp Europe from the first one in Leiden. It was in the Netherlands. That
Yeah.
was my
Mm.
first WordCamp.
The
I
smaller
only
one,
missed.
the smaller format ones.
No, but
The
it was the first WordCamp Europe, the original, the
Oh, that was
first.
the big one. Oh, I didn't
Yes,
realize
the
that.
Leiden,
Okay,
and then
okay.
they started. Yeah, I only missed two, one in Spain and one in Austria, because on those years I had children. In fact, one of them was born in June, and I couldn't explain my wife that I need to go to where it comes. But joking apart, I've been to a few other meetups. Wherever I live, now I live in Nijmegen. I go to the meetup in Nijmegen. I go to the meetup in Amsterdam. I used to live in Scotland, and I had
Mhm.
also organized WordCamp Edinburgh, and I used to go to the meetup in Edinburgh. I
Oh,
think
wow.
WordCamps in general and meetups kind of like go hand in hand. WordCamp, of course, is a much bigger, because meetups is
Hmm.
just like more a casual monthly thing, and WordCamp maybe once a year. Um, I I love them. I love them because both from the business point of view, as in like there's not necessarily about the ROI, that just making the connections and growing and learning what other vendors are doing, what other people are
Of course,
doing.
agencies who have never heard about you, for example, or even
Exactly. You
enterprise clients,
even
they're
us
curious
as a
about
developer,
you.
yeah, just to see. But more important than that, it's funny. I was just talking to someone just before this call. One thing that stuck with me from the first WordCamp is at every WordCamp you make actual friends, as in they become like some sort of
Of
connection. Maybe you
course,
know them to work, but with time, some of them they become actual real life friends. It's not
of
just colleagues
course,
or something,
of
and
course.
that is fascinating. When it comes to WordCamp, there's a
That's true.
certain before working in the WordPress industry, I've been to a lot of conferences like RSA, and there is it's like purely. I mean, of course, WordCamp is also about business, but the other ones like RSA, like they are purely business. So there's a certain, it's a transactional thing. But with WordCamp, yeah, of course you're there for it, but it's way more than that. Like you talk to people, you meet a lot of people who maybe like you, I only see online maybe, and maybe we exchange a few emails, and then you meet in person. I
Oh
would
yes, oh
definitely,
yes, 100%. If I'm coming to Netherlands on like a vacation or something, I'm just giving you a call. I'm going to bunk in your
exactly.
place. I'm not going to get
Like
a hotel or
honestly,
that.
like I've been next WordCamp Asia is in Mumbai,
Yeah,
India. I have a
I
few friends
know.
from India, like Akshat
Yeah,
from Block Vault, the
yeah,
CEO
yeah.
of Mini
He's
Orange.
been on
They
WP
all
Legends
told
too.
They all
Yeah.
told me, Aksha told me like, don't you ever book anything. Like, come to come a week from before, come to
Yeah,
Bangalore, stay at my house, and then we travel together. Like
of course.
it's just it becomes yeah, it's
Funny,
a bit
funny thing
extended
about
family.
India, like like almost 60-65% of our team is from India. I'm actually from New Delhi, India. I moved to the UK 4 years ago.
Exactly.
My co-founder Ryan, whom you also met, he's based in the US. But I think now, as of now, he spends more time in India than me also. He spends good 2.5, 3 months in India. And the biggest reason is, you know what? Food.
Yeah, food, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's different.
So any
But yeah,
all our
it's
listeners, yeah, I just
it's
wanted I wanted to say all of our listeners, if you're planning or thinking of attending your first WordCamp, do not miss Mumbai one. You're going to have the best food and experience. Sorry, go ahead.
I am sure of that. But yeah, as I said, it's not just about work, it's about the networking. There's a certain vibe, and whenever you leave work, the first thing I always notice whenever I leave WordCamp, you're just full of energy and these ideas because you spoke with so many people, you heard a
True.
few talks, maybe a few presentations, so many ideas, so much enthusiasm. Like I want to do build this. Like I have a notebook here, like full of notes because I was meeting people. I was always with my mobile taking notes. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I would definitely, if you're thinking of going to some WordCamp or not sure, you should definitely go. And there are WordCamps everywhere nowadays. Like
I
it's
agree. And I have a burning question for you. You have WP2FA, the other two plugins, like, are you planning to launch something addition to that this year? Maybe, or something secretive coming up or something? Maybe you want to share with our
mm,
viewers?
not really. I mean, we just look, to be honest. So what we've done
Because I know
this
it
year,
takes a lot. It takes a lot to even build and maintain this. I know. I know.
exactly, yeah. No, in fact, what we've done this year, we've changed a bit the strategy. As in, like, we sold the captcha, but we bought it like a few years ago. We grew it. We were quite happy. It's a new market.
Mhm.
We looked into it, but it doesn't really fit into the like website security and management kind of thing and user management. So we sold it. We launched a plugin just a few months ago, MalaPress Role Editor, which is like a user role editor plugin. It's still in the beginning, so we're just playing around. But now we're
Okay.
going to, the idea is to focus purely on those four plugins and just grow them, grow those because I feel like it's a mistake, but we've learned a lot. Sometimes you can spread yourself too thin, and because of that,
Good
maybe
one.
some plugins, some other products might suffer. They're still good, but yeah, like in hindsight, looking back, like some things which we spent, not necessarily money, just resources, time, whatever, dealing with some, for example, captcha problem, which is technically it's interesting. I loved it. It's spam is a total was something totally new for us, like captcha and spam. So it's an interesting market. But every second you spend on that one and you want to specialize on that one, you're not specializing in something else, which we were already specialized in logs management and authentication kind of thing. So we sold that one and now we have those four plugins and we for the never say never of course, but for the upcoming future, the plan is like, listen, let's focus on these four plugins and take them to the next level.
Grow our
So
user base, and then you can cross promote also, educate people about
exactly,
the
yeah,
benefits,
yeah.
etc. That's
And we
pretty
can
cool.
specialize more because we're going to focus 100% on them. So we can like literally specialize, continue specializing in what we do,
I,
and
I,
they fit together kind of thing.
yeah, that's true. And another funny thing, I should have asked this. This should have been my first question, actually. How did you come across the name Mela Press? I'll
Very
tell
good
you why I'm
question.
asking you. I'm going to tell you why I'm asking you this question also. But first, please go ahead.
Okay, so originally we started as WP White Security. The name was
Okay.
coming from because we deal with security. White because I don't feel like in the hacking where there's the black hat hacking,
Right.
which is and the white hat hacking, so WP White Security.
Right.
It was just, but as we you said before, like many people confuse us, like, oh, so you compete with FireFence, with security. Like, no, we don't do because they say the word security, they just think of firewall. And yeah, as we had more plugins, Activity Log 2FA, they're both security, even when I press login, but they're more like user management. It's a bit of a mix, like managing users, securing users, and the website. So we wanted to come up with a new name. We spent quite a few actually weeks or months discussing new names. I even paid some companies just to get some ideas. We just weren't sure.
No,
So
I love the name. I love the name, and I'll tell you why I love
thanks.
the name also
It's
in a
it's it's
second.
really actually you realize how difficult it is to come up with a name. It's like sometimes like whoa, because
Oh, trust.
and you hear
Trademark.
so
You have to check trademark availability, domain name, .com domains. Oh, it's a nightmare.
but
I
even
know.
first of all coming up with the name. Because many people tell
Yep.
you, like, for example, listen, start with a I don't think it applies more nowadays, but in the old days it used to apply. Like try to use a company name starting with the letter A, because when you go in some sort of index or listing, you'll be listed first, for example. I didn't know, I never thought about these things.
A lot of
So,
and then a lot of people consult with their astrologers also. Do you know that? To find
oh,
their
I didn't, okay.
starting letter. Yes, in India especially.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
For the
yeah.
kids, for their kids and their businesses.
So yeah, it was very difficult. And also like some people don't recommend using something like Press or WP because listen, like if the business expands, in all fairness, I wanted to use Press because what we do is related to WordPress. If I had to do something else, most probably I will do it under another company, whatever. I would want this one to be focused. As I said, like I want to really focus on what we're doing.
Mhm.
I was talking, we're all like a remote company. I'm originally from Malta. It's a small island in the
Mhm.
Mediterranean Sea. And I have
Mhm.
another colleague from Malta. And we're like trying to come up with some Maltese words, but the most common ones are very difficult to pronounce, kind of thing for foreigners. And
Mhm.
we have this word, mela. Mela means in Maltese, it depends on how you use it, the context, but can mean yes or even a no, or even like we'll see kind of thing. You know, it depends on the tone. For example, like when you ask something to your mother, if she says like mela, it means like no way, don't even, just. So yeah, and then like press, it just somehow okay, that's a good word, mela. It really fits. So it's like yeah, let's go for it. So it's just like
Now I'll tell you why.
we paid all those
Yeah.
companies. We've done so many research, and it just ended up coming up with the name just from a discussion between me and my colleague. That's
No, it's a memorable name, and I'll tell you why I asked you this question also because Mela is actually a Hindi word as well from India, and it means like a crowd or people circus, like a circus crowd kind of a thing. A lot of
okay,
people,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So if you Google
It's
after
interesting.
this call, just go Mela Hindi meaning, and you'll be
Okay.
shocked.
Many people, especially last year in Torino, thought it's a kind of like some sort of homage for Apple because Mela in Italian is apple. So they thought something
Oh,
like apple. Yeah, yeah, Mela. It's actually Mela. That's how they say it. So they thought
that
like
is
some sort of like Apple kind of the
it.
Apple of
It is like
WordPress, but
it is a it's not like a circus, like a celebration, and a lot of people come together. Like in India, like in the olden days, especially if there was people in the villages, they used to come together. Hundreds and hundreds of villages used to come together and celebrate and happy go lucky, and just be merry.
I
That is the meaning in Hindi. Mela.
I love that. I love that. I was in India for 2 months, actually, in,
Mm.
in, in Bangalore, in a small village called Ajanahalli outside of Bangalore, like 60 kilometers outside Bangalore.
Wow. Okay.
And I was there volunteering for 2 months in a orphanage. And on I don't know what day it was, but we all walked with all the children on a small hill. There was like some businessman from that village, and he kind of like paid like a feast for everyone. So everyone was on this hill. Like had this huge car that's cooking like some, and everyone just goes there with banana leaves. You get something, and everyone just there's
I
music
know.
going on.
That's a
Everyone's sitting
Mela.
on exactly.
Kind of
Everyone's
like a
sitting on the
Mela.
ground, eating, talking to everyone. It was so nice and peaceful. You're sitting on this hill, the sun is going down, like you're in the middle of nowhere, like some small village somewhere. It's
Yes.
amazing. Amazing.
It is overwhelming in a very good way. I know, especially for somebody who
Yes.
has spent so much time in India. Yeah, for my co-founder Ryan, when he visited India for the very first time, he was in shock, in like weird kinds of shock. He had tears of joy when he was leaving. Like why and what the
I
mixed
was
emotions.
I was in shock because through work, my previous jobs especially, I traveled a lot and literally like in almost all of the world. I mean, I've never been to Africa, but I've been even like to Singapore, Abu Dhabi. Like you can somehow, even the US, like Europe, you can somehow see some resemblance of when you go to India. As soon as you leave the airport, it's so different, like completely new. It's like another world. Like whoa. The first thing I remember, like wow, it's just so different. It's just I don't know what it
Of
is, but
course,
it has
yes.
the music is different, the films, everything. So it's like living in a
It
different
is.
other
It
world.
is something.
Wow.
It is
It's
definitely something. I think that's why I keep on repeating that everybody should definitely try to go to WordCamp. I think it's going to have massive crowd. Which also reminds me, we have WordCamp Portland coming in. Are you going to be visiting there? Maybe I'll see you there.
US I've been meaning to go, but it's just calendar schedule. But yeah, next hope I've been saying next year every time, but hopefully next year will fit in. Uh,
Yeah, try
Definitely
to come
WordCamp
to
US,
try to
but
come to
yeah.
Portland otherwise if you can. It's very cool. It's a massive, massive event. We were there last year also. It's the same place as last year. It's called
Okay.
Nike Town in Oregon, so it's pretty cool. So and In fact,
Nice.
I keep on repeating WordCamp, WordPress, or WordCamp, especially all of that, because in this year, Basel, Switzerland, I was just speaking with somebody a week before, and that guy's from Switzerland, a host, a smaller host, which is upcoming. And he didn't even know what a WordCamp is. And I said, "Whoa, no way!" And
Wow.
he actually just drove down, and we spent a good time. We went out for drinks. So you never know. It's very, very cool to do
No,
that.
WordCamps always. Whenever, if you have a chance, if you're listening and you have a chance, if there's one near
Okay.
you or like, make sure you go.
I have
Definitely.
I have I have some final burning questions for you.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
and this one I ask everybody. What where do you think WordPress is going? WordPress is going in the next 5 years, not two, not 10, just 5 years. Consider this, okay? We have the Shopify's of the world, the Wix, the Squarespace. Now we have Dora coming up. We have Framer is picking up steam. I see Framer ads on Instagram every day. So where do you think WordPress is going in just 5 years?
I think, first of all, it's very difficult to answer because AI
I
changed
know,
a lot of, is going to change a lot of
I know.
things.
Lovable.
There,
Look at what's happening. You never
there are a lot
know.
of things which we cannot even at this stage understand. Last time I was listening to a podcast and someone compared AI to electricity. Like when electricity was invented, we didn't know
Hmm.
about the toaster. We didn't know about the
True.
fridge. We didn't know.
Good
But
one.
once electricity was invented, it opened the door to all these inventions. And it seems
True.
AI is just the beginning of like, what are we going to go do next? So this is very difficult. But in when it comes to, because I know a lot of people talk about like Shopify and stuff. First of all, I think it's good to have competition because it keeps kind of like pushing the
Of course.
community to certain things. However, like most of these things, like if you look at the Shopify, you're looking just at the e-commerce section of WordPress. If you look at Wix, maybe you're looking just at the like basic websites of WordPress, but WordPress is also used. We can see it from our own plugin, where our plugin is used by a lot of large businesses, where they use WordPress for many other things than not just a website, like portals, some sort of integration, headless WordPress. So there's a lot of potential there as well. So I think um, definitely AI will be included. I don't know how. In fact,
It's a
now there's the
difficult question. Everybody,
yeah,
I ask this
but
question,
there's the AI
everybody has
team
their
now, right?
answer.
Yeah, there's the
Yeah,
AI
yeah.
team now. So, but
Cool.
it's very difficult. But I still, because when people say, oh, like like WordPress usage peak is going down, I seriously doubt it. I think it's just the big. We just there's so much going on around WordPress. There's so
I
many
think
changes.
I think it's also like the Nasdaq stock market. It's like this, but eventually it's going up for the past
Exactly.
100 years. So
Yes.
I feel
So
my speculation says that it will go up. There could be like tranches where it goes down for a year or two, maybe because of competition. But competition breeds creativity and innovation, like I always say.
exactly.
So I think core will
Yeah.
become stronger. The plugin approvals have already become faster. I think, right? Like as per Matt
Exactly.
Mullenweg's
I mean,
tweet.
like
Yeah,
even when you look at WordPress, this started as a blogging platform.
true.
Nowadays, WordPress is used for anything almost, but a blog it's for everything. Like, but you can see some of the websites built on WordPress, like even like as a backend of an SAS service, for example. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's I think it's the beginning as well. But as you said, it's like the market. It's going down a bit, but it will
I
eventually,
know.
when you look at it, the big greater picture, it's just going up.
Interesting. And tell me something. Is Miller Press a backed by any company? Are you bootstrapped? Or are you thinking of raising money? What about
No,
that?
not at the moment. It's bootstrapped by me. We have no investments, nothing, and yeah, it started as I said. I love the idea of having a business, but I never thought I can have one just because of the work I was doing. But yeah, started as a hobby, became a part-time, became a full-time, and yeah, so far we're happy. As in like, yeah, we're doing well. I mean, we can do
Any
better
any
always, but
any
yeah,
int-
but
of course, any interesting mentors, any interesting podcasts you watch, Netflix shows you want to share with our
um,
community?
yes, lately I started listening to, is it like a podcast, My First Million or something?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
It's a very popular one.
I listen to the WP Tavern podcast because just to again
Hmm.
most WordPress people getting to know these people, getting to know what's in the market basically is very good. WP Tavern is good to keep yourself up to date. But yeah, like mentors, to be honest, like the last, I live in the same village where Yoast lives. Yoast, as in not the company. There's the company office as well, Yoast is CEO, but Yoast, the person lives and his
Hmm.
family, Marika and stuff.
Hmm.
And since last year, I spoke a bit with them, and yeah, I've been in touch with them, and they've been very helpful people. They've been very They gave me
He's very
some
respected in the community. Yes, for so
He's
many
yes,
years.
he's
Yes,
he's a
yes.
very smart. They're a very smart couple actually, and yeah, from time to time we do sit down. I do sit down with them and chat, and they gave me a lot of direction because up until 5 years ago when I started full time, 6 years ago roughly, even though we were making money, I had a developer full time. I was moving full time for some reason because as I said, I like the idea of having, but I never saw myself having one. I was still looking at this like a hobby kind of thing. Yeah, of course, there's mine, but so yeah, I got like through my through WordCamps as well, by the way, because I spoke to other vendors and stuff. And the last year or two with Monica Dios, I've got some more direction kind of thing that we're moving in a different way, and hopefully I'll keep on growing.
That's cool. And for your own company, Miller Press, for your working, like SaaS tools do you use? I know Slack is one of them. Like, what are the SaaS tools which are
Yes.
indispensable for your work, if I may
Um,
ask?
MailerLite, sending emails and stuff,
Oh,
of
okay.
course.
Okay.
Yes. Let me think. We're using lately, of course, like any other company, we're using AI, ChatGPT.
What about
What's the
project
name?
management? What about project management?
Yes, we use Asana.
Asana. Okay.
We used to use Trello and it was good, but
Mm.
as the team grows and you have some like different tasks, it becomes a bit
Mm-hmm.
more complex.
Mm.
So yeah, so we switched to Asana. We use, of course, GitHub and issue tracking
Of
and
course.
stuff. I think in terms of
Every
we use
every founder I ask, every founder I interview and ask, everybody is using different tools, and everybody has switched at least 2 times in the past 5 years. That is the
it's
crazy part
normal
about this
because
normal.
things are changing. Like even like now with AI, everyone has AI in their product. So when you start looking
Yes.
at we use of Help Scout for support. We're looking at other options, but I think that's about it's a funny question because like I'm realizing right now we use so many things, but you don't think about it. You don't think, when you ask someone else which service are you using, like wait, let me think because
Yeah,
I'm trying to
that's
look back
true.
at my day, what do I usually do during the day, and then I'm trying to
We
think
we
which
started using we were using a Monday at one point. Then we were using ClickUp at one point. Then we moved to Notion, and Notion we are pretty happy with. And then we use SPP and some other tools internally. Slack, of course, is indispensable
yes.
for our work. Google Hangouts, G Suite,
Yeah, Google
whatever.
Hangout. Yeah, Google, of
Uh,
course, Hangouts. Slack is, I've learned lately kind of like to close it because it can be good if you want to have a, but it can also be a time killer because,
I I could not agree with you more. You know what? My Slack is on mute throughout the day. I am
yeah.
there, so I check every 15, 20 minutes because I love to
Mm,
keep everything updated. And I'm like in more Slack channels than anybody else in my entire company.
mm,
So what I do is I just keep it on mute and just go to it every 15, 20 minutes and just update everything. That's
exactly.
what I do now.
Yeah.
I've stopped notifications about a year ago, and it helps me with
Yes,
my work, by the way.
it makes sense because I see even people like I don't know if you are on post status, which is nice. You can see like
Mm.
conversation stuff like, but it's not the first time someone asked me, oh, have you seen this conversation post status? Like, am I there work? I don't have, I'd love to have time, but
I
I
know.
check like you, like in the evening, maybe go through some threads, but yeah. So it's a great tool, but like everything else, you need to know how to use it. Like a knife. A knife is a great tool to eat, but you can also kill people with it, quite frankly.
Of
So
course.
yeah, so and it's
Okay.
Slack is the same. Like if you know how to use it, it's great. It's really great.
That's true. And so the final question, because we are just coming up on time. $100 million in your bank tomorrow, no
Mm.
questions asked. What's the first thing you will do? And I love to ask this question everybody.
Good question. I'll hire more people. Hire more people. No, I love what I'm doing. So I hire more people
Okay.
and most probably travel to way more WordCamps because I like the vibe and the
Hmm.
feel. Just like I hire more people to do what I'm doing so I can travel more to
So work,
WordCamps, get
you're going to be
more.
focused on work. 100%
I,
growth of
I,
your
I
work.
like it. Like, I mean, I most probably I would try to find a bit of better balance between because I love also the outdoors and cycling. So
Okay.
instead of as I do right now, instead of having to rush for a quick run, I can go at least for a run and come back. But no, I'm happy with what I'm doing. Like I would still um I mean, of course we work for the money, but it's not just for the money. If it was just for the money, most probably I would be doing
I
I
use
had
this
some
word. I use this word. It's my favorite dialogue, which I use with my teammates, some other people. I'm a happy compulsive workaholic. And I think all
yeah,
entrepreneurs like you and I are. We're happy compulsive workaholics. We love our work. If somebody says,
yes.
"Oh, you have to work on a Sunday for 3 hours." I said, "What? I'm doing it because I love to do that on 3 hours on a Sunday so that I
Yeah.
can enjoy my Monday."
Yeah. Yeah, people find it strange because, for example, when we go on holiday with the family, Like I always wake up a bit early, so until my kids wake up and my wife, like I take the laptop with me
Same.
and I'm happy to do some emails. Like you're on holiday, why do you
Absolutely.
take the laptop? I love it. What?
I
It's
do the exact same thing before, and then I go for my run before they wake up. My daughter wakes up, my
exactly.
wife wakes up.
I
I
love
always
it.
love to do that.
I don't mind it actually. I love it. It's
And
just what I do. I mean, I don't see me doing any other thing to
I,
be honest.
I think what I'm going to do is, if you're not going to come to Portland, because from London to the Netherlands is now pretty straightforward with a Eurostar. I need to take a break, and my wife and my daughter are going to go to India for like a month or so. So I have a lot of time to kill. Maybe I'll just come out and say, "Hey, I'm coming for the day."
Sure, definitely. I mean, I was just listening to a podcast from Marika Deract, the Jo's wife. She was just saying, I know it's there, but I just never looked into it. So from the village where I live to London with Eurostar and everything, it's just 5 hours. So just yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I hope to see you soon then. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being on WP Legends, and I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much,
much.
Gautam. Thank you for the invite, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you at some other WordCamp.
Yes, bye for now. Thank you.
Thanks.